Hello, my friend. This is Clyde. Visit the upper room. Acts chapter 1, verse 4 and verse 12 to verse 14. On one occasion, while Jesus was eating with them, he gave them this command: "Do not leave Jerusalem, but wait for the gift my Father promised, which you have heard me speak about." Verse 12. Then the apostles returned to Jerusalem from the hill called the Mount of Olives, a Sabbath day walk from the city. When they arrived, they went upstairs to the room where they were staying. Those present were Peter, John, James and Andrew, Philip and Thomas, Bartholomew and Matthew, James son of Alphaeus and Simon the Zealot, and Judas son of James. They all joined together constantly in prayer, along with the women and Mary, the mother of Jesus, and with his brothers. The upper room. We read about the upper room where Jesus had the Passover feast with his disciples before he was executed. We read about the upper room where the disciples were locked away hiding when they crucified Jesus because they feared that the Roman authorities would come to arrest and probably execute them as well because they were followers of Christ. Now we find these men going to the upper room to wait. Let us talk about the upper room. On this occasion, things are different. They just had a last meeting with Jesus on the Mount of Olives, and while they were talking with him, they saw the most amazing sight. Jesus started to go up in the air right before their very eyes. No crane, no apparatus hitched to him. He just went up into the heaven just like that. I know some people, they would faint if they were there, but it happened. After that phenomenon, these men returned to Jerusalem and went where? The upper room where they were staying. Nothing is said about them hiding, but that is where they went to wait for the gift that God the Father had promised them, the Holy Spirit. I can only imagine the level of excitement among them. Mind you, they were not told if he was coming like the dove at Jesus' baptism. What if he chose to come in human form? No clue. And also, they don't know what time he was going to arrive, what day of the week and what time of day. But they had company who joined them in this spirit of waiting, and they spent their time mainly in prayer. Imagine 120 persons in one location, mostly praying, and they don't know when this would end. They simply knew that they were in a period of waiting, and that's all they had to go by. So what is the significance of that first century experience with Jesus' followers and us today? Let us take a shot at answering this question. Notice the upper room is a place they chose to camp out and wait for the promised gift of the Holy Spirit. They did not go to their respective homes. Actually, they were from Galilee, and Jesus told them to wait in Jerusalem. The upper room is a place of waiting, a place where a group of persons wait for a promise to be delivered. Let me ask you a personal question. Is there a promise that God has made to you, or is there something that you desperately need for God to do for you? What if you were to go into an upper room? I'm not talking about a physical space, but the upper room speaks of getting away from the regular hustle and bustle of life, things that would be normal features of your life, and get to that place where you are free of distractions and you can focus on interaction with God. It could be an early morning experience, an all-night experience. I know of some persons who would take a day off from their regular life and go someplace to spend time with God, but with purpose. There is something that they desperately want God to take care of, something they want God to do. In your case, it is a huge problem that you're dealing with, and you simply want God to take care of it because you have not been able to win the struggle of this problem in your life. Maybe it is time you get into your upper room, that time and space where your sole objective is to spend time with Jesus and to wait for an answer. The upper room is an experience that demands adjustment in your normal schedule. These guys had a life to go back to. They had families, but this was top priority. This was urgent, and it is not going to wait. They put things on hold, or they rearranged their priorities so they could spend time with God and focus on something vital, something critical, something that is going to have a major impact on their future. The upper room demands a sacrifice of your time until These guys had no idea how long they were going to be in the upper room. If it is someplace they rented, how long can they afford to pay for this place? But it was so important to wait on God to send the promise that those considerations became secondary. Something else that is interesting is that they were not alone. The passage said that they were 11 disciples because Judas had taken his life after he had betrayed Jesus. So these 11 men who knew each other well, men who had the same goal and the same purpose, were together. They spent most of the time praying together. The group grew from 11 to 120, including Mary, the mother of Jesus, and his brothers. The upper room had space for some others, folks who share the same concerns with you, friends who have the same desires, the same expectations. What a beautiful experience to have, that you're not alone, but there are some persons in your life who are of the same mind. What a blessing to be able to have some trusted persons who have your best interest at heart and who will join with you in prayer. It might not be in the same place, it might not be the same time of day, but they share the concerns with you and they commit to praying with you and for you. There is power in numbers, and when you are surrounded by people who will pray with you until the answer comes, until you get just what you are praying for, that is your upper room experience. Get into the upper room, my friend. God is waiting there for you. Won't you share your upper room experience with me through an email sent to friendofclyde@gmail.com.